Want to look instantly younger at nearly 70? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 3 products that will make your mature skin look instantly glowy and gorgeous. And I'll be using both their high-end and drugstore dupes, proving that you don't have to spend a lot to look the business. So let's get started. We're going to do this in a get ready with me style. And I'm going to use the drugstore products on one side of my face and the high-end products on the other side of my face. And just to let you know that the 3 product types that I'm going to be using are bronzer, blusher and lip oil, and I'm also going to add in an eye tint comparison as well. Oh, and my new drugstore favourite mascara. Now I've already applied my foundation, which in this instance is the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. I've also got the Revolution IRL concealer under my eye, and I've set that with my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish powder. And I've also done my brows. I've used the Thick It Stick It by NYX, which is an eyebrow mascara. And all the products that I talk about will be listed and linked below in the info box. All you need to do is click on more and all will be revealed. So let's start with bronzers. And the 2 that I'm going to be comparing are the Revolution bronzer, which is Ultra Cream, I think it's called, and the Sun Kissed bronzer by Charlotte Tilbury. Now, as you can see, this is absolutely huge. I'm never going to use this up. I don't know why they make them so big. Now, the Charlotte Tilbury retails for £44 in the UK. Can't remember what it is in the US, but it's probably not that dissimilar. And as I say, everything will be linked below. Now this says that it contains hyaluronic acid. It's 16-hour wear. And as you can see, it's extremely large. Let me show you how large it is. Ooh, there it is. I mean, that is absolutely massive. Now the Revolution in comparison is really quite small. And that's what it looks like in the pan. And this is $5.60 in the US or £6 in the UK. And there they are side by side, and I'm going to swatch them for you. Now they both have around 4.6 stars on the beauty websites, and the Revolution does have some silicone in it. Now it does actually contain fragrance. This is something I had not spotted, which I am a little bit peeved about, but actually I've been wearing it for the last few days and I haven't had any seborrheic dermatitis. So I don't know, maybe I'm getting better with fragrance in products, don't know. Very interesting, something that I'm going to look into further. And I'm going to swatch it for you in a sec. And the Charlotte Tilbury has hyaluronic acid and vitamin D in it. So let's swatch a bit. I'll just do it on my hand. So that's the Charlotte, and it feels lovely and silky. And this is the Revolution. Now you can see the Charlotte is a lot warmer, the Revolution is a lot cooler, but because my skin is such a mystery to me still, I never quite know whether it's warm, cool, or a mixture of the 2, which I think is probably right. It just depends probably on what I'm wearing, what the weather's doing, and all of that as to which colour suits me best. But there they are. So that's the Revolution and that's the Charlotte. Okay, so let's now apply them. So we're going to do the Revolution on this side and the Charlotte on that side. Now, I'll tell you something, and I would really love to know your views on this, is how you apply cream bronzer, and actually any cream blushes or bronzers. Lately, I've been using a sponge, although I did actually buy this brush the other day when I was in Boots, and this particularly says, and this is from Real Techniques, it says it's a flawless blend brush, but it did recommend that it was good for applying cream products. I'm just not sure about it, so I don't think I'm going to use it today. I think we'll stick with the sponge. And maybe what we'll do is I'll use my fingers to start with, and I'll just dot it here like that. Gosh, it's very, very dark, isn't it? But you'll see it does blend out nicely. And then I'm going to get my blending sponge and I'm just going to blend it, smooth it out like so. It's a very dull day out there at the moment. It's warm. It's going to be very warm later, but there's no sun. I've got the windows open. I'm trying to film in as much natural light as I possibly can. So in front of me, I've got my windows open and my blinds up. So goodness knows what the people in the church or the people sitting over there are thinking when they see me do this. Hopefully, as it's relatively early in the morning, they're not going to see very much. But I just thought it'd be good to try and film using as much natural light as possible. I also do have a ring light though, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to see properly. Okay, and I'm just going to bring a bit along my jawline here. Just, I never know whether this makes any difference really, and I don't want a tide mark. So let's see how that's looking. What do we think? It's quite glowy, which is good. I don't know whether I blended it a bit too much. Let's take a bit more because I'm not sure there's a lot showing up. I might just go straight in with the sponge actually, just for ease of use. And then let's put a bit more on. And there we are. And then I'll blend it out with the other end of the sponge. Yeah, I think that's showing up a bit better, isn't it? Okay. Okay, so that's the Revolution. I think that's looking quite nice and bronzy. Now let's go in with the Charlotte Tilbury. Right, so here's the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is the warmer one. So let's cut to the chase and just go in with the sponge, because otherwise we're going to be here all day. And I'm going to put it here. Oh yeah, you can immediately see how much warmer the colour is, can't you? And we'll put it here. Yeah. And then we'll blend it out with the other end of the sponge, I think. But do let me know in the comments below how you effectively apply bronzer, cream bronzer and cream blusher, actually, because I have the same problem with that. Let me know, because I haven't really, I mean, when I look at YouTubers applying it, they do tend to use a brush, but when I try, it just doesn't seem to work. So I end up using a mixture of fingers and a sponge. Oh yeah, I think that's very nice. In fact, in a way, I suppose it depends on, as I say, the weather and the light and all of that. But this is looking, well, obviously it is looking warmer because it is warmer. I'm kind of liking it better, but they both apply very nicely. The consistency is quite similar. Maybe I'd say, let's just check again. Let's just check again. This is perhaps a little bit oilier, the Revolution. And this is a bit creamier, although there's not a massive amount to choose between them. But there you can see, sorry, my fingers. God, look how misshapen that finger is. You can see the difference there as well, can't you? Let me just put a bit along my jawline of the Charlotte as well. Just add a bit there. So we've got Charlotte High End here. We've got Revolution Drugstore here. So let's apply blusher next. And I've got the Revolution the Revolution Face Base Blush, which I've shown many times before on the channel. I absolutely love it. With the Merit. Now this is fairly new to me, but I did do a video about the Merit products that I bought recently. Now the Merit is £32, so it is quite pricey. It's probably around the same in dollars. Again, everything will be linked and listed below. The Revolution is only £6, and again, it contains fragrance. How did I not spot this? I don't know. I do take my eye off the ball sometimes because I find a product that I think looks amazing and I forget to look at the ingredients sometimes. Anyway, like I say, I've been using this a lot and nothing's happened. So interesting. Now, both the brands are vegan and cruelty-free. This one says it's dewy and buildable, and this one contains vitamin E. They both can be used on cheeks and lips, although personally I prefer just to use them on the cheeks, but they look okay on the lips. So let me swatch them on my hand first so you can see. This is the Revolution. There we go, and you can see it is quite glowy, isn't it? It's got that sheen to it. But it's not as sparkly as the, it's not as sparkly as the e.l.f. sticks, the monochromatic sticks that I was rather in love with last year, but I'm afraid I've gone off them now. And this is the Merit. Let's pop it up here. Now the Merit is a bit sheerer, I would say, but they're not that dissimilar in colour. The Merit is a bit sort of redder, I would say. Redder, is that a word? A bit more red. So without further ado, let's apply them. Now these I am going to apply straight from the applicator first, and then I will blend with a sponge. So let's do that. I sometimes have to apply more than one swipe. Well, I've done 2 swipes there anyway, so let's do the same here. There we are, looking a bit like adamant now. Yes, you can see the difference. This is pinkier and this is a deeper sort of deep pinky red, I would say. Both feel lovely on the skin. Right, let's smooth out with a sponge just carefully. Because what I find, again, using a sponge can take away the product. which is not what we want. The other problem I sometimes have is that I haven't blended properly, and so I end up still looking a bit adamantesque. Maybe that's the answer. Actually, I think that looks really nice. And interestingly, this one seems to have warmed up a bit. I don't know why. It was cooler with just the bronzer on. Now it looks a bit warmer, although I hope I haven't rubbed off all the blusher. Anyway, we'll adjust it at the end and I'll be able to see how it's all looking. But both of them are really lovely products, although, as I say, this does contain fragrance. So if you're sensitive to fragrance or allergic to it, just be aware that the Revolution does contain fragrance and the Charlotte doesn't. Well, I'm really liking that, and I do think they're both really great products. Now I'm going to show you some liquid eyeshadows next. Now I was going to use both the Armani eye tint and compare it to a Bourjois liquid eyeshadow, but unfortunately it's very difficult to get Bourjois eyeshadows in the States. We always seem to have this problem with drugstore products, but UK versus US. It's really difficult to get US based drugstore products over here in the UK, and ditto, it's difficult to find UK products in the States that are drugstore. I don't know why that is. It just is. It's the same with L'Oreal. We get different versions of L'Oreal in the UK than is available in the States. Who knows why? It's all a mystery. So what I've done is I've gone for the Lisa Eldridge as the high end, and I've gone for the Kiko Milano liquid eyeshadow as the drugstore. Now this is my very first ever Kiko Milano product, so I'm really looking forward to trying that out. Now let me swatch them for you first. And I have actually done a video where I did it at Christmas, actually, where I used the Lisa Eldridge liquid eyeshadow. This one's running a bit low, actually, because I have really enjoyed using it. And this one is a virgin, as it were. I've never used it before, and that's the Kiko Milano. You can see they're not that dissimilar. I'd say the Kiko Milano is actually probably a little bit warmer. They're close, no cigar, but they're close. Now, applying liquid eyeshadow does require a bit of, not skill, but a bit of swiftness, because they dry really quickly. So what I'm going to do is apply them with a brush. So I'm going to get the doe foot. Here's the doe foot, and I'm just going to get a little bit on my brush, and I'm just going to apply. And I'm not going to go too far up either, because I find that it sort of transfers above the lid, which I don't really want. So let's just start by doing this. That is a beautiful colour, actually, isn't it? I think that's really nice. Okay, so we've got the Kiko Milano. We're going to do exactly the same with the Lisa. I may have gone up a bit too high there. Yeah, there's a bit more of a pigment payoff than there was with the Kiko, but we might go back in with that because I was perhaps being a bit too careful. There's the Lisa. Yeah, let's go back into the Kiko Milano just quickly. Get a bit more colour on there. Oh yeah, it is building up actually. That's good. I probably could have done it with my finger actually. Now this eyelid, by the way, as you probably can see, is more creased than the other one. The left one is a bit more creased. I think that's because it's the side I tend to sleep on. There, so what do we think? Not that dissimilar, I would say. I know the colour's slightly different. Honestly, would you know which one was high-end and which one wasn't? I don't think you would, really. So the next thing we're going to do is just going to blend out the edges using this NYX eyeshadow palette, which I've just bought, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we're going to use, I think, probably this one here. Again, I will link all the products down below for you just to smooth out the edges. I'm not going to do anything fancy with the sides because I just have too much, because my eyes are just too wrinkled to make it look good. And I think the eyeshadow just tidied up at the edges will be sufficient. So let's just do that gently here. It's a bit darker this, but actually that's okay. And then we'll blend in a second. So that's where we're at. Now we're going to blend a little bit with the fingers, just gently. I think that looks lovely, actually. Now you might say, why are you faffing around with liquid eyeshadows? Because they can be a bit of a faff, but There is something about cream eyeshadows, I think, that makes our eyelids just look a little bit less wrinkly, if that's possible. I don't know, maybe I ought to do a comparison one day, but also I just really enjoy applying them, even though they are a bit fiddly. There's something quite nice about using liquids on our skin rather than using powders, because as we get older, as we know, if we're not careful, powder of itself can look quite aging. So I think there is something rather nice about using something liquid. Now, having turned to my guru, Smita Deepak, who has fantastic tutorials on how to apply cream eyeshadows and liquid eyeshadows, I am going to use an eyeliner, but she suggests only using it very, very close to the lashes. Now, I cannot find a drugstore equivalent of my favourite eye pencil, which is the Beauty Pie Ultra Pro Colour Pencil, I think it's called, in Turkish coffee. So it isn't black, because I have grown away a little bit from black because I do find it a little bit harsh. This is such a great colour, and let me just swatch it for you. So although it may look black, if I come closer, I think you can see it isn't. But it's that fantastic sort of almost like a burnt brown, a burnt dark brown. So I'm going to go off camera and do this because it really isn't an attractive thing to look at. But basically what we're going to be doing is a very thin line. Okay, we've got the eyeliner on, and next we're going to do mascara. Again, I'm not going to do this on camera because it's not a pretty sight, but I do want to tell you how fantastic the Maybelline Sky High mascara is. Now, this is a different version. I think for the last couple of years, I've been using the pink one, which I think is the waterproof. This is not the waterproof, and that's why I've been using it because it's not the waterproof, because I've had this problem with my eye, which I've mentioned in some of my other videos. Happily, at the moment, it seems to have righted itself, but I didn't want to spend too long taking off mascara, so I thought I'd better use a non-waterproof, and I absolutely love this. Right, I've got the mascara on. I think you'll agree that's 2 coats of a very reasonably priced mascara, and I think it looks really great. Let's crack on with the 2 lip oils, and I've got in the red corner the Merit lip oil. In fact, it's called the Gelée. And in the blue corner, I've got the Versed tinted lip oil. And both have around 4.4 to 4.6 star ratings on the beauty websites. The Merit oil retails for $24 or £26 or $9.99. Both are cruelty-free. The Versed lip oil has jojoba oil and vitamin E, and the Merit has plant-derived squalane and quinoa oil. Right, let me swatch them for you. And that's got a doe foot applicator, and the Versed has a tube. There we are. So we've got the Versed, and there we've got the Merit. So while I've got the Merit open, while I've got the Versed open, let me hook it on. Got to squeeze it to get it out. It's a lovely colour, isn't it? Get a bit more out of the tube. In a way, yeah, the application isn't as easy. There you have it. It feels lovely. It does feel, yeah, a bit oily, but not in an uncomfortable way at all. It feels very, very soft, actually, and I really like it. The only drawback is the applicator is slightly fiddly, but apart from that, I think it's a great colour. It feels lovely on the lips. And now let me show you the Merit. It is easier, there's no doubt about it, to put it on with a doe foot. The only thing is actually with the doe foot, you probably get this with the other applicator as well, is you have to kind of make sure that you don't get too much on the outer edges of your lip. This colour is probably a little bit more like my lips, but better. But it is really lovely. So just for fun, I'm going to take off the left side of the Merit and put the Versed on just to see. There you are. Versed, Merit, Merit, Versed. Et voila! I've nearly instantly created a glowy look on my nearly 70-year-old skin. So I'd really love to know if you've tried any of the products I've mentioned today and what you think of them. Or do you have any that you can recommend? And also don't forget to let me know how you apply your cream blusher or your cream bronzer even. Now, if you'd like to know a little bit about my monthly favourites, I have a monthly newsletter which drops the first Friday of every month. and the link to join is in the info box below this video. Now, in that newsletter, I don't just share my beauty faves, but I also share fashion, music, theatre, film, books, and anything else that tickles my fancy, and I hope tickles yours too. And of course, I would love it if you'd subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any of my uploads, which are now on Wednesdays and Sundays. And thank you so much for watching. It means the absolute world to me. I cannot tell you. And I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Bye.